So you and
Welcome to WTF is Web3, where we untangle the uncertainties of Web3 technologies. Be sure to check out the show notes for more information, giveaways, and ways to stay in touch. You're also going to want to make sure that you're subscribed to our podcast, our YouTube channel, and our private group so you don't miss out on exclusive content, freebies, and much more. If this episode seems like it was stripped out of a longer conversation, that's because it was. This is what we call a shallow dip, because it's basically the opposite of a deep dive, where we're going to give you a brief explanation of a concept, a term, or a topic that we just felt you would dig without having to listen to an entire episode. However, if you do want to listen to the entire episode, I invite you to check out the show notes, because that will get you to that longer episode and you can hear everything in context of the original conversation. Now that we've got that explanation out of the way, let's jump into the episode.
you and I have been talking about the Dunning-Kruger effect a lot lately. And
Yes.
Just to put that out there, like, we are aware that we are not experts in this, and we're constantly reminding ourselves to make sure that we check ourselves, realize we're not experts, make sure that we're not putting ourselves out there to feel like, yeah, we know everything, because we don't. We were very clear early on. We're learning out loud with this. And so this is us sharing some of the stuff we're sort of thinking about, kind of just putting our conversations that we have in private, usually out there in public.
You want to
And
explain
hopefully-
the Dunning-Kruger effect for anybody who's not familiar?
Yeah. So the Dunning-Kruger effect, in a nutshell, and you're going to have a much more specific definition and an excellent originating example that it was based off of. But essentially, the Dunning-Kruger effect is the natural tendency that just about every human has to get exposed to something pretty briefly, pretty shallow, and feel like you know a lot more about it. Now, it may not just be a knowledge. It may be that you feel like you are going to do really good on a test, even though you're like, you know nothing about it, but you think you're pretty confident you're going to get a 90%, even though you're probably going to get a 30%. And it's that disparity between what's actually your capability or what you would do versus what you think you will do. And it's in all of us.
The novice hubris, I think, would be a good way to sum it up. And an example that I could lend would be the fire, like going into the fire academy, and you're just thinking firefighting, like how hard, like how are they going to teach us? What are they going to teach us for months on end? Like how you could put water on fire? How hard is it? And you think you're going to be a badass, and you think it's going to be easy, and you're like, how could, like, what's the textbook going to look like? This is water, this is fire, put that on that, put the wet stuff on the hot stuff. No, there's way more. There's thermodynamics and building structures and all sorts of codes and chemicals and hazmat and all sorts of stuff. But the person who, you don't know enough to know what you don't know. And that's what the Dunning-Kruger effect is to me. In the story,
it's the unknown unknowns,
the unknown unknowns, as Donald Rumsfeld so eloquently put. I love that. That's such a good soundbite. I use that in one of my videos. But the story that John mentioned, where the Dunning-Kruger, the example, the claim to fame, Dunning and Kruger, I think is David Dunning. I forget Kruger's first name, but Billy Kruger.
Sounds good. I don't know.
Freddie.
Yeah.
So there was this interesting situation where this gentleman, and I use that term loosely, decided to rob a bank. He did not rob the bank with a mask.
Two banks.
Oh, you know the story better than I. So he robbed two banks. I'm assuming it was the same day. I'm hoping it was the same day.
I hope so too.
He supposedly, as story goes, he looked at the security cameras, smiled at the security cameras very confidently. No mask, no disguise, no wig, no nothing. Got the money, walked out, and was promptly arrested at his home after the security cam footage was used to identify him by the authorities.
It's pretty
because it was his face. It's a pretty good identifier, almost as good as an NFT.
Almost.
When the authorities were showing him, guessing down at the precinct, he's denying that he's done anything wrong. They're showing him the security camera footage, and he sees his face in the footage, and he goes, but I wore the juice.
But I wore the juice.
Which confused the detectives and officers there. He then described or explained that he, as a lad, learned that you could use lemon juice to kind of use invisible ink. And with lemon juice and then using a candle, you could, make a kind of little, first grade science experiment, invisible ink. Maybe not first grade because you're playing with candles. But in any case, this gentleman was under the impression that if you put lemon juice on your face, the cameras wouldn't be able to see your face. So Dunning and Kruger decided, we're going to put our names on your conditions, sir. And that's it.
Yeah, I love that. So all that's to say, it's very easy to start to go down the rabbit hole, get the first couple surfaces of some of these things and feel like you know everything. And that's something very easy to fall into. And we want to make clear you're trying to make sure we're not falling in that hole. So if you think we are, check us, put in the comments, shoot us an email, just let us know, or maybe call in. We'll do the call-in show.
Yeah, that'd be fun. And feel comfortable feeling uncomfortable and lacking confidence, because that at least means that you're not drowning in novice hubris. All right, that is going to wrap it up for this shallow dip. But if you want more information and more conversation, I invite you to check out the episode notes and our channel, because not only can you listen to the entire conversation from which this clip was stripped, but there's also going to be more episodes that do a deeper dive on this specific topic. Thank you so much for tuning in. I want to make sure you don't forget to check out the information and the links in the show notes. Some of that stuff is going to get you into freebies and raffles and contests and all sorts of other promotions, but also we've got a private group dedicated to our listeners and our followers. We would love to see you there, love to see you collaborate, join, and get exclusive content that we are only distributing through these other means. Speaking of distributing through other means, I want to make sure that you're also subscribed to our podcast, our YouTube channel, and again, join that private group so you know everything that we know as soon as we know it.